Welcome back to the Iowa Chill Show to September 23rd on this cool, crisp, fall-like weather day. I'm your host, Nathan Krieps, joined by my co-host, Bryce Bortscheller. Bryce, is it officially safe to say that it's shorts and hoodie weather?
I did it today. It feels like fall to me. I think
I
it's
mean,
I think it's appropriate. I don't think you're going to get laughed at if you do it.
how good does it feel to walk outside and just feel that weather? You can leave your doors. I left my screen door open all day yesterday and just let that fresh air get into you. And as soon as I did that, we were within a half hour watching Hocus Pocus.
Amazing. You were talking last pod about watching those Halloween movies, and I'm glad you kickstarted it with Hocus Pocus. Those Sanderson sisters got it going on.
I'll jump right into Halloween Town High right after that, and then I'll be sick of
Nice, nice.
Halloween by October 1st.
Yeah, fair enough. Darren wanted to watch some last week, and I said I've seen you do this before, where you get burnt out for Halloween before it even hits October. So we're still holding off for now, but soon, very very soon, we're watching those Halloween movies.
Credit to you for holding it off, Bryce. You jumped in a little golf tournament today.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I've had a few beverages today, so if I lag or it's not the computer, it's not the technology, it's me.
This
We played
podcast
for
is gonna be a little juiced up
the
today.
National Kidney Foundation, I believe, today, and sponsored by Two Rivers. At least our foursome was. So, yeah, the boys came in at about 12 under. We did not win, and there's a lot of work to be done until you get to Des Moines on October 3rd and we play together in one of those scrambles.
Was this just a normal best shot today? I know it's for a foundation or for a special event,
Yep.
but no like twister turns.
No, no, you can buy your usual mulligans and
Okay.
normal four-man best shot.
Because I was in a four-man best shot this Saturday and a superintendent's revenge. First time I ever played in a tournament like that. They had sunflower seeds on holes. They had golf carts on the green. One of the holes, Bryce, had a big machine leaf blower right on top of the hole. And your max score was 5. We actually got a 4 on it. But I just hit it to the left of it, so I was able to tap it and like drill the flag to get it in. But if you miss it, your ball was off the green.
That's amazing. So if you've never played a Superintendent's Revenge, essentially it's the managers of the golf course getting back at you for tearing it up all year, right? They just make
100%.
impossible pin locations. They put sounds like machinery on the course.
And the groundskeeper got his sweet revenge on us. He had toilet seats on some holes, but it was a lot of fun because I've been playing that course all year up in Dyke, and it was fun to play something different. So
Yeah, that sounds like I've actually never done one myself. That sounds like a lot of fun.
it's a lot of fun for a course that you've been playing all year, like I said, and it's finally a little twists and turns to it. But it's a great end of the year tournament when you're I'm starting to get a
For
little
sure.
sick of golf. I need to put the clubs away for a little bit, not caring as much as some of my strokes. So it kind of got me a little bit more excited back into it.
So there was this round we played down in Boss Landing in Pella earlier this year, and it reminded me because you were talking about the machinery. They were redoing a bunker on a par three, and it just right side of the green. And we were jokingly like, "Hey, should we like try to go under the machine to get on the green?" And I hit like a mishit stinger that bounces from the front part of the bunker underneath the machine and skips onto the green.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of just like Happy Gilmore's playoff shot to
Right?
beat Shooter McGavin to win the green jacket. Speaking of Happy, you see that they're coming off a Happy Gilmore sequel
I did
on
see that. It should be
Netflix.
like a week or two coming back
Uh-huh.
out with the happy.
Yeah, right on Netflix. So you know it's gonna be a little low quality compared to like an action movie setting, but I can't fucking wait. That's awesome.
Yep.
Happy Gilmore,
Rumors
my favorite.
of obviously Adam Sandler, but Sydney Sweeney appearing in that movie. I think he's going to stock
Yeah, I didn't
that
see
thing
that.
full of just the most recent hyped up actors. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, let's jump into here. Our Iowa fact of the day, Bryce. Bryce, how many miles do you think the Iowa's border is?
Okay, I literally GPS this back in March for a piece of content. I'm going to go with 1800.
1,390 miles. And I I think that's actually well, I wonder if the GPSC thing you did, I wonder if that's like the roads that gets you the closest of the Iowa border outline. So I actually think the stat I gave you is somewhat accurate. And if it would take you how many hours to drive it, do you think?
We did about 22 to Utah a couple weeks ago. I'm going to say 16 hours.
21 hours.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so when we did that, it actually was very challenging. Took me way longer than I'd hoped for a piece of content, but you really can't drive the border. You can do close, but it doesn't have
Uh-huh.
exact roads on the border, obviously.
Yeah, when I got these stats, I was looking up online and it said, "Credit to Iowa Chill for posting this." I'm like, "Oh
Oh,
god."
really? Okay.
So we're not sure if it's 100% accurate, but that's I got my resources from basically us.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Yeah, we tried. It doesn't have exact roads, but I do want someone to do that because it was right around that same time somebody was going to all the poncheros around the state of Iowa, and
God,
he
how
got
many
that done
pon
within a few days.
Yeah, how many Poncheros again in their state? Is it
I
80
don't
some?
remember. He had to hit a ton of spots. I was really impressed, and he had it done within a week. Like we had posted something like, "All right, who's going to do this?" and we'll sponsor you. And by the time we had gotten somebody to do it, he was already like halfway or all the way done.
That's ridiculous. I wonder
Yeah,
how he
it was
felt
quite the
moving
feat.
forward.
Do you miss the Tenderloin tour? I know that we talked about it in the first episode, and it's your background. You got a massive sandwich back there on that shirt, but do you miss driving around and trying food?
I do. I absolutely
I
do.
bet.
I perk up when some people ask me, "Hey, where's the best tenderloin to be had?" It almost needs to come back. Another thing I would like to do, I'm super into street tacos.
Wow.
Where have street tacos been my entire life?
What
Something
a
I could
phase that
eat.
you're in, man. I'm excited
Uh-huh.
for you. That's a great food.
So I'm getting street tacos at least once a week right now, and I get from the Mexican restaurant in Hudson.
Are you
It's
a pastor guy, asada? How do you stack that thing up?
asada. I mix it between some steak and chicken, asada, whatever that, what they have on the Mexican menu. But oh my god, what have I been doing my entire life trying to eat a normal taco or getting some stupid enchilada when street tacos are a thing?
The people that know you know that you've taken your time on getting introducing new foods to your diet. Um, and honestly, I'm a little jealous because now you got the world is your oyster, man. You're going to be able to try so many foods throughout life, and whereas everybody else has been like, yeah, I've liked that since I was 16. Well, it's like you've lost all your adventure. For
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you've got the rest of it in front of you.
that's the story of my life. I'm late on trends, late on phases, late on dress codes, late on appetite. So yeah, I take it very patiently in my steps when I'm approaching food, and I love it. So street tacos are going to be my new addiction here for probably a year or two. But I've been messing with some tenderloins too. Shot the Toads, I think is the best one in Cedar Valley right now I've had.
Yeah, Toad's got a great tenderloin. I'm excited for you. You're taking this thing as a marathon, not a sprint, and I appreciate that.
Bryce, I'm a little surprised we haven't mentioned her yet in our podcast. Caitlin Clark is having watch parties set up in Iceland. I knew she was popular. I knew she's gone a little global, but I didn't know she was powerful enough to have watch parties set up for her in Iceland. Does that surprise you?
Iceland, it does. I am not surprised she's a global brand because I think she's just breaking boundaries for female sports in general. But so cool. I saw that the other day, and um, it just makes me laugh because so much of the early part of the summer felt like the old stars or the veterans in the WNBA kind of, for lack of a better term, shitting on her. And that narrative is just not going to hold up. Like she's doing things that we've never seen before. I saw a graphic the other day that was all the records that she's broken as a rookie, and it's a full graphic. Like she's one of a kind. So yes, it surprises me Iceland, but at the same time, like Iowa fans are used to it. She gave us the best 3 years of all time, and she's going to break every record in the WNBA.
Yeah, she just officially announced as APWNBA Rookie of the Year. Broke the assists for the season for rookies. I'm not sure if
Yep.
she broke it for all time, but she led the WNBA in assists this year, and he had stars announcing, "There's no way she'll ever do," making fun of her when someone said that. Yeah, she's gonna, and here she is. She did it. And going back to the global phenomenon, like this summer, the WNBA Olympic team were in last place for attendance and viewership for all their basketball games. Maybe not the championship, but that just goes to show you why'd you not? Don't give me this bullshit. We're putting the best team together to win the game. It's an entertainment business. It's
Yep.
100% entertainment business. Don't bullshit with me on that. You throw her in there, you're number one. So it's just funny just for all to come full circle that, yeah, you guys are idiots for what you said in the beginning of the
Yeah, I
season.
mean they'll regret it, and they'll obviously do better. And I understand trying to get veterans in the Olympic team that may be their last run or something, but there's no doubt in my mind that those numbers would be up if she was playing.
Speaking of the influence she's had, West Delaware and Manchester, Iowa hosted one of the coolest things I've seen in Iowa high school athletics sporting events. They had an outdoor volleyball match on their football field versus number one Mount Vernon. And then I saw the pictures, the videos. It has a full house on the football stadium. It looked so freaking sweet.
It looked awesome. I like that. I think that this is a Caitlin Clark effect, and I know that it's not directly, but it's like, okay, let's get female sports and do cool things, and I hope that that continues to be a trend. It kind of reminds me of when Iowa had their wrestling event outside in Kinnick Stadium. Every sporting event is better outside, and the more we can do that, I'm going to be a fan of it.
And she's had an effect on me. Instead of wanting a boy, I now want a girl. Caitlin
Caitlin
Clark
Jr.
is,
possibly.
I sure hope so. Tom Rinaldi, you know who he is?
I do.
One of the famous sportscasters, sports tellers in the history of sports, has a podcast coming on Ed Thomas, uh, highlighting the families, both sides of Becker and the Thomas family leading up to. He's only released 2 episodes so far, but this quick podcast on Fox Sports. Have you heard about this podcast?
A little bit. And he was such a big name for us growing up. And I would guess we were probably 8 or 9 years old when that tragedy happened, but even more so, like his legacy, like the Parkersburg tornado, and just how he was able to rally not only the players on the field and get those guys to be great football players. It sounded like he was just an all-time community guy. So I don't know him obviously on a personal level, and I was pretty young when that all happened. Um, but he just had such a nationwide effect. I remember reading his story a little bit in Sports Illustrated at the time, and so I'm really excited to dive in to this documentary.
Yeah, I remember Colby, my brother, went to the first game without Ed Thomas at AP, as saying it was one of the coolest experiences he's ever witnessed.
Friday Night Lights in a small town is just really cool. I can imagine the energy there was so cool.
Yeah,
So,
well,
what do you remember? What year that was? I'm kind of
2000
blanking on what that was.
2008.
Okay, so yeah, we were still pretty young.
Is that? See, I could. Someone's gonna correct me on this. It's either 2008 he died or 2008 was the tornado, but he died shortly after the tornado too. Might have been a year after because they were working out in the bus barn for the temporary weightlifting
Right,
facility.
right.
So it would have been within a year of that area.
Yeah,
And
man,
the
I,
cool
I
thing,
bet that was really cool.
yeah, well, the cool thing about this podcast is that they're not just talking about the Thomas and everything else besides that, but they're really diving into Mark Becker, the guy
Okay,
who's responsible for taking his life and interviewing his parents and leading up to his mental illnesses and his schizophrenia going on. Man, super interesting. Talking about how he was thinking that Ed Thomas was the devil, that he was
interesting.
after to get him. So there's so many situations and scenarios leading up to it. They obviously tried to get him help. It is kind of I think he got released from the hospital. And when he got released from the hospital, that's when he ultimately went to where Ed Thomas was located at the bus barn. But
Gotcha. That'll
super,
be
yeah,
interesting because even less so than Ed, I really don't know much about his killer. So that's going to be an interesting twist for sure.
man. How okay? Fall is here. Football is feeling so good, especially when you get to watch Iowa finally have an identity. Going into the Twin Cities, taking revenge on them stupid Gophers and beating them down 31-14, 24 unanswered points. If you had any questions or speculations, lots of words here, but yeah, lots of words for Caleb Johnson. How good he really is.
Yeah, if you were doubting the fact that he was leading the league in rushing, I think he proved that. Yeah, he's going to be a force in this league. I know that he had some off the field, maybe NIL issues. We might have touched on that in the last couple pods, and he wasn't able to hit that first half. Um, my God, as he stormed back, there was a few times I know we were sharing tweets back and forth. Like there was times where it looked like he wasn't going to get anything. That Minnesota defense looked like he had wrapped him up, and then he'd turn off like a 40-yard run. Um, that was really really cool. Obviously, like this game was just charged up because we had a little revenge on our mind after that invalid fair catch last year. It was kind of fun to put the beat down, and something we haven't seen from Iowa. It's like these double digit over 30 wins or something I could get used to.
That was the best second half of football I've felt as an Iowa fan in a long, long time. And not only just taking care of a team, but taking care of a close competitive rival, Minnesota.
Mhm.
The first half was a different story. Going into this game, what we've been talking about for recent weeks is like, God, we don't know what we're going to get out of this Iowa team. We truly don't know who they are, giving up 3 long touchdowns to Troy. By the way, that same guy had 3 long touchdowns again, Devontae Ross for Troy again this week. So
Okay, I don't
just a
feel
little
as
bit
bad then.
more. Uh-huh. Uh, Iowa State, that's a rivalry game tossed out early in the season. Illinois State, yeah, we look good in the second half. If Iowa can be like they were the second half, the entire game, this is a dangerous team. This
Feel
is
good
the
about that team.
this is the team that we put over marbles in the basket. All the expectations with 17 returning starters. This is what you expected them to do, and we finally seen a glimpse of what the potential could be.
Yeah, we're seeing a solid defensive team with a run game, and when those things don't match up for Iowa, it's like, yeah, we're not going to win a lot of games. We're starting to see that. It does feel like the offense cooled down a little bit. I just know that Cade is maybe not going to be the guy that we want, but it makes every quarterback feel better when you run the ball well. So I still have
Yeah,
faith. Like, make that a run first offense. Cade will loosen up. I I mentioned it after that Iowa State game. My dad's opinion was that we don't have playmakers. I think your opinion was we don't have playmakers. I'm starting to see that a little bit more. There's a few balls where yes, they may be tough or they're over the middle and there's a defender right there that's going to knock your head off. You'd like to see if the receivers make a few more plays. And if we're going to be that 10-2 team, maybe down the road, like they're
uh-oh.
going to need to make those plays.
We have our first oh, you're back. I lost you for a little bit.
Okay. Okay. We're back.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. The one bright spot was Iowa's defense, especially in the second half. They gave up a little bit more we would have liked in the first half, but here this is Minnesota only had 5 possessions in the second half. They went punt, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, INT to end the game. I
Yeah.
mean, that is as
That's more Iowa
dominant.
football.
That is the returning veteran experience we have, leading by Jay Higgins with the interception, Quinn Schulte off a tip to basically end the game and put these stupid Gophers away. And basically, how we've always known Minneapolis TCF Bank Stadium to be Kinnick North. Have
Yep.
you seen
Yep. We,
those
we
videos?
reclaimed. Mm-hmm.
Those
Yep.
Iowa fans swarming, thinking not knowing if it's an Iowa or Minnesota game. So shout out to Iowa faithful for getting up to Kinnick North and taking back Floyd and bringing that bacon home. I got
Love
some
it. Love to
booze.
see Floyd come back home. It just feels extra good too after last year. Like, I don't know. You're talking about Iowa's identity. I don't know if Minnesota's necessarily ever had an identity with PJ Fleck. They had that flash in a pan year, you lightning strike basically, and then they haven't had nothing against us.
If I had to guess, PJ Fleck will not be the head coach at Minnesota probably halfway through the year because their next 2 games are Michigan and USC.
Yeah, him, and it reminds me of like Scott Frost. They just had a hard time beating those Iowa teams, so I wouldn't be surprised either. I want to highlight a player on defense, and I want to get your opinion on it. I was sitting with some family this weekend watching the game, and Jamari Harris is one of these guys that I see just either one of the best cover guys in the league, or he's letting up a huge play. Have you
Uh,
noticed this at all?
I've been keeping my eyes on more TJ Hall on the
Yeah,
secondary covering. That's when I see their best receiver and them continuously tag TJ Hall or Deshaun Lee. I can't remember. I think it's Lee. One of those two. I
me
feel
too, for
scared.
sure.
I feel incredibly scared. When it's against Harris, I feel a little bit better. I'm not too worried about Harris more than the other side of the secondary.
For sure. And in general, I'd say that we're trending upwards, and I feel a lot better with what I saw in the second half. But just kind of the defense in general, guys like X and Lee and Harris, it's like, can we maintain that level of play throughout the whole game? And we're going to need it against Ohio State. So, something to watch for.
Yeah, well, we trusted Phil Parker to redeem himself and get this team back to where it needs to be, and they definitely took not just 1 step forward, but 2 steps forward. So shout out to Iowa for putting the beat down again on Minnesota. PJ Fleck now moves to 1-7 against Iowa. Things we'd love to see, and a good time for the Hawks. Go ahead and get a bye week, get recovered, and let's get competitive and strategize as much as we can for Ohio State. I feel a lot better
What's your
going into
thoughts
that
on this
game.
game coming up? Obviously, after the
Uh,
bye.
You still know I still probably take Ohio State. The coverage is probably going to be 22.5 if I had to guess. I think it'll be a close game in the first half. I just, I feel a lot better about Iowa moving forward from this game, but you just hope the intensity and there's still a lot to be improved on. We still gave up 14 points. Minnesota had a 14-7 lead on us. That shouldn't have happened. But Iowa has been a second half team this year. If you scratch out the Iowa State game, Iowa showing out. They
Sure.
came out trailing against Troy in this first half. Came out, took care of business. Illinois State was a one possession game in the first half. Came out and
Hmm.
whooped them 40-0. So let's see that from first quarter to fourth quarter end.
So
And
I
if
haven't
you can,
watched a lot of. I haven't
if you
seen
can,
much of Ohio State. What is their? It sounds like a running game is kind of their go-to as well. What's their two-headed monster looking like?
Ohio State really doesn't have. Well, obviously they have an identity as Ohio State traditional wise, but for this season they've played Marshall. They've played God, I don't know, two other lower programs that
Yeah.
the other team happens to score the first points, and then once they do that, Ohio State, nope, okay, we're here. We had a little fun, and then it win like 50-7 every game. Exactly what you expect from Ohio State. So I think this week is their big game against Oregon.
Okay, I'll do
I
some
think it's like,
scouting this week because I really haven't had a chance to look at them. So maybe on next Monday's pod we can kind of analyze what that game will look like. Did you have a chance to watch much of the Iowa State game?
nope. I kept up with them throughout the box score. Rockobeck didn't do anything surprising with what 204 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. The still surprising factor for me, Iowa State did obviously handle these guys 52-7.
Hmm.
So Iowa State has not put their foot off the pedal. Taking it forward, they now claim the number 18 ranking in the AP poll, but Abu Sama has still been
He's
awkwardly
quiet.
silent this year.
Yeah,
So it looks
I was guilty of not watching the game because they were playing Arkansas State, and I fully expected them to handle them in that way. So I didn't see really what's happened, but I saw the box score and was surprised that he hasn't. I mean, even against teams like that, he's not really tearing up like we kind of thought he would. I think every
yeah,
Iowa State fan thought he would.
yeah, his backup, Carson Hansen came in for 2 touchdowns, I think on like 60 yards of the ground. I don't know where Iowa State got all these points from. I'm still trying to figure that out. Must have been short field advantages. The defense must have really controlled this game and
Sure.
gave Iowa State a short field to work with because I didn't see anything mind boggling when it came to total yardage. But Iowa State did what they had to do: take care of business, move to 3-0 after a bye week. Now they got Houston coming to town. Houston's coming off a terrible loss, 34-0 against Cincinnati.
Yeah, yeah. It looks to be like a pretty soft Big 12 schedule for Iowa State for a lot of weeks ahead until they get to those final two rankings at the end. I would think that they probably handle Houston in a similar fashion. I don't know what's your take on it.
God, I was looking at the other day. Houston had second game of the year. Let me look this up. But Iowa State does go to their place. Another first Big 12 test. I expect it to be somewhat of a close game because Houston's always had a decent team in the past years. I mean, they only lost to Oklahoma by 4 points at Oklahoma this year.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and they're still ranked pretty high.
and now yeah, and they lost to UNLV by 20, but they beat Rice by 30. And then Cincinnati, they get skunked 34-0. So talk about a team that doesn't really have an identity right now besides getting their butts handed to them some games.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a common theme, right? Like this is the time of the year where you start to figure out where you're at. You lean into your strong points and you try to minimize the damage on your weak spots. So, that 4-point loss to Oklahoma may well have been Oklahoma not getting, fully into their strong points yet. So, I would think Iowa State probably keeps the trend up and Houston probably keeps the trend down. Um, I don't have them in my bets of the week, but I would guess that's at least a 7-point win for Iowa State.
Right now, Houston is favored. I mean, not favored, but they are expected to lose by 11 to Iowa State. I would take Iowa State.
I do too. I One thing that I like about this Cyclone team is that it feels like they're going to put up points. So in games where you're supposed to win, you're typically going to cover the spread if you don't have trouble putting the ball in the end zone.
No, and I trust their defense enough to see what other defenses have been doing to Houston. So I think Iowa State goes in, just take care of business, move the 1-0 in the Big 12, move forward. You're probably going to be ranked top 16 the week after, just like that. Guys, the best ranking they've had since the Brock Purdy era. I think they're number 9 before Iowa took them out.
Yeah.
I probably
Man,
seen it
I'm
there.
serious. I think that this is going to be, it's going to end up being a better record year for Iowa State than the Purdy years. I don't think it's a better team necessarily, but I just think that the schedule was tougher early on. Like, especially that Iowa game. Like later in the season, they're going to be like, yeah, we needed that one. And probably the same way that we're going to look at it. If we take care of business, the Hawkeyes keep trending upward. I think we're going to look back at that game and think, oh, that was a crucial one. I just think that that Iowa State schedule is so good for them until those last two games.
Yeah, like I said, and it's the same situation if Iowa State this year. They have all their eggs in the baskets, return all this experience with 17 starters as well, with the schedule that they were dealt with. Take that deck of cards, play it the best you possibly can, and just keep winning week by week. I think we had them projected at 8 wins,
I think
maybe.
we had them at 8. I think that
Eh,
that's
well,
looking pretty good.
I would if they lose to Iowa, I would say that's okay. But now with the Iowa win, I'm probably moving to the 9-3.
Yeah, I think so too. I again, it's we've said it now. We're kind of waiting for them to have that trip up game, but it doesn't look like it's anytime soon. So I'm and in other sports news, I know we're fellow you and I graduates. My Panthers are looking abysmal. Back to back FCS versus FBS losses. The latest one coming to Hawaii.
We had a lot to say about them last week too. After the Nebraska, like, oh, I think they look pretty good.
Yeah, man, I
And
don't think they do anymore. A little
no,
worried
no,
about their conference schedule coming up. But
they might have had a little too much fun in Hawaii, and that's how it should be. You don't go to Hawaii to play football. You go to Hawaii for the experience to have a little good time and play football on top of that. I'm sure
Nate, if
Mark
we were on
Farley,
that team, I don't think our heads would have been in the right spot either.
not a chance. I might not even show up to the stadium. So yeah, I don't know. That looked rough. I took you and I to cover. That didn't
Hmm.
happen. 31 to
Yeah,
7 loss. Uh, Mark Farley's got to wake up real quick before the Missouri Valley Conference. I'm sure they'll find a good rhythm.
you mentioned PJ Fleck maybe being on the outs. I wonder how long Farley's going to be there because he's been coaching since well before we were in school in the mid 2010s.
Yeah, talk about the tradition here in Iowa, the longevity of some coaches. Kirk Ferentz, Matt Campbell reaching his ninth year right now, and then you got Mark Farley for God knows how long he's been
Feels like
here in
forever.
Cedar Falls. So I don't. Hopefully they can wake up a little bit and move forward. I got a few interesting lock bets of the week here,
Cool. Let's
Bryce.
get into that segment.
I'll start us off. I think I got Michigan covering 11 against Minnesota. Michigan is, I think they're kind of like an
Yeah.
Iowa football team right now. They have like 10 passing yards and a half, but they end up beating USC.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't get a chance to watch all the games on Saturday. We had some family stuff going on. I did see them pull away right at the end, and had texted friends before that game. I'm like, hey, like trying to get bets in. Like my gut's kind of saying USC. What do you think? And everyone's like, yeah, hammer that minus 2.5. And Michigan pulled away. So I'll piggyback you. I actually have them at the 9.5 line, and I don't think that's alt. I think it may have adjusted a little bit. Maybe some of the Minnesota fans a little too zealously getting behind their team, but I've got them at minus 9.5 as well.
I would definitely take that. Is it at the big house? It must be at Minnesota.
Yeah, I would think that that's probably over 10 points if it's at the big house.
It's at Michigan. So,
Oh, is
yeah,
it?
you're right. It's moved down to 9. Yeah, Gopher fans are feeling confident
Okay.
about their team.
Yeah, delusional, Delulu, as some would say, but that's fine. What do you got for number two?
Illinois to cover 17 and a half versus Penn State. And I don't know if you watched the Illinois State versus or Illinois versus Nebraska game. All right. What an offense. Bielema has things going over there in Champaign. Altmaier, their quarterback, with a dual threat quarterback. I think Illinois had 2 drives that ended in turnovers just off a deflection or a drop pass from a receiver. Other than that, every single drive was 50 plus yards.
I did not get to see the game. I saw it went to overtime. Um, to me, I was just pumped to see that Nebraska is human and there is still a freshman quarterback quarterbacking that team. And all of a sudden, my Black Friday looks a little bit less bleak.
Yeah, and that is now Nebraska's 25th straight loss to a ranked opponent.
Interesting. Yeah, man, they just can't get over that freaking hump. Nebraska was back for as long as the eclipse earlier this summer.
Yep. It's good to see. We like it.
It's there's not many things I like more than seeing a team lose. It goes Packers, Nebraska, Iowa State. I said it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Cyclone fans. But
What's your number two here?
number two, I've got my lock of maybe the year. Miami, Florida looks so freaking good. I've got
Hey,
them
you're high on
covering
these
night.
Hurricanes.
I am, and I'm winning every week.
Speaking of
Them and
hurricanes, they
Texas
got
are
hurricanes
covering.
rolling in right now.
Oh, do they really?
Uh-huh.
So if that's
Category 4.
is that hitting Florida? Is that game at Florida?
I think near Tampa right now.
Okay.
It's gonna be. I
Okay.
don't know if it's hitting yet, but I saw a projection for like a hurricane 4, which is massive.
If the hurricane hits Florida and they're playing in Florida, I might alt spread that up to 30 because I think they're the hottest team in football next to Texas. So 19.5 over Virginia Tech is feeling pretty good.
I'm gonna round us off with Alabama to cover 2.5 at home versus the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. What I
Okay. I
saw
like that.
Alabama do to Wisconsin on the road shows me that Alabama is still Alabama. And if
Did Bama have a
Alabama's up,
bye?
I don't know. I didn't see anything from
Because I
this
didn't see
last
their
week.
last game.
So I think they did have a bye. And if Bama's still Bama, like we think they are after the Wisconsin game, Bama took care of Georgia last year in the SEC championship. So give me Bama at home
I think
plus
that's
two
a
and a half.
great bet. Honestly, I expected a little bit of a Saban hangover, but they look really good. I think the culture is really, really strong. So I think that's an awesome bet. Georgia's probably what, are they 2.5? Or what did you say?
Yeah, Georgia's favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet. Honestly, Milrose, one of the better players in college football. There's no standout quarterback that I would take over him right now, I don't think. Maybe Miami, Florida's guy, but my
No,
last
I
one,
agree.
Baylor over BYU. Going against my Mormon roots and Baylor
You see
not
the
looking very good.
you see that game?
I didn't. I saw the very end play. I think that honestly, that's kind of why my gut's saying that they're going to have a revenge game or kind of that bounce back game. So I'm taking Baylor over the Cougars.
Yeah, because I hit my brother and I were watching the game downstairs, and I'm like, God, they're plus 800 with the ball. I'm like, for sure, I'll sprinkle that a little bit. And little did I know it's pouring, absolutely downpouring there, but made it for that much sweeter. But Shadir's threw that deep pass, and the receiver dropped it on the 2-yard line. They
Hmm.
go in. I'm like, oh, there's our chance. Next play to his opposite arm. What a hell of a pass, a hell of a catch. And then a hell of a play by Travis Hunter in the overtime to knock the ball loose at the 1-yard line to go in the back of the end zone for a out of bounds automatic win to Colorado. So you hate to see it. Not the biggest Colorado fan, but you got to give it to them.
Yeah, yeah. I
Stuck
mean,
with
they're
it.
finding ways to win. I think college and NFL, everyone says the same thing. It's like that win is that win. I do think that Baylor looked a little better than I thought they were going to. So I I don't feel great about that bet. I'm saying it's a lock. It's more
Dude,
so my hopeful upset of the week.
BYU's look good though too
Yeah,
lately.
they have.
The
They have.
Mormons are the Mormons are playing some solid football over there.
Yep. The state of Utah is looking pretty good.
Bryce, this week we're gonna be ranking our top 7 strangest Iowa high school mascots.
Let's
Each
go.
week, each week I keep saying this is probably my favorite segment we've done yet, and I'm going to say the same thing for this specific category.
Okay. I think I've got a better list. I know that I kind of cheated the system last week and was kind of live looking up the top 7 town festivals. I do actually have a legitimate list, and I'm excited for the segment.
Go ahead and lead us off if you're number 7.
Number 7, we've got the Sheldon ORABs. Do you
Up there
have
in
them on
Dutch
your
Camp.
list?
You might find the Sheldon or reps. I feel like our list would be pretty similar. When I was going through this list, there was a bunch of Wolverines,
Yeah.
all Spartans, all that, and then Sheldon or Rebs.
Did you look
So
up what ORABs means?
I've done it before, but I didn't do it this time. What is it?
You're going to be like, oh,
Oh
yeah,
no, no, hold on. Is it orange or black?
that's exactly what it means.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no. I thought it had to have been like some Native American type lore, but it's just orange and blacks. Yeah.
Okay. Shout out, yeah, pretty good sports history up there from the Dutch area. All those Dutch people going through there.
Yep.
Give me number 7 at the Audubon Wheelers. We are the Wheelers, the mighty, mighty Wheelers.
Love it. You might see that later in my list as well. Heck of a
We're gonna have
list.
to, I'll snake us back with number 6, the Sigourney Savages.
Okay.
That's
See,
kind of
that's a good one.
kind of savage to name your Iowa high school team the Savages.
In
I'm
a
not sure what context that they meant behind it, but that's out there.
Yeah, in a political climate where you kind of have to retract a lot of your edgy names,
Uh-huh.
it's good to see somebody still sticking true to what they believe in,
That's savage of them. Love it.
We were so lame. Before I get to number 6, but the Pella Dutch didn't even have a technical mascot once we got there. They literally changed it to the P. It used to be a Fighting Dutchman, and then they just got rid of it. So, little side note that kind of always pissed me off.
Oh, wait,
Um,
wait. Pell's not the Dutchman no more.
Technically, we are. We just got rid of the mascot.
Oh, that's
Just
lame.
It's lame. I think everyone should be required to have somebody on the
Mhm.
sideline in that hot stuffy suit.
I was once the mascot.
You ready for number 6?
Yep.
The Burlington Notre Dame Nikes.
How does that happen?
I don't know. So, in the same way that Burlington or Nike, the company, named their company off after the Greek goddess, it sounds like Burlington did the same thing.
It's a Greek god.
Yep.
Nike.
I believe goddess, if we're being technical.
Okay. All right. You might see him on my list too at some point. That was your number 6.
That was number 6.
Okay, so you can follow back with 5 then.
Number 5, I've got the Clinton River Kings. And I honestly would have put this one up a little higher because I love the idea of the term river rats. Anyone that spends a good amount of time around the river, that one just feels awesome. Any river
Clinton.
town should be named around the river.
If you could write up a definition of a river town, Clinton would be it.
hmm hmm
I
Those
do like
quad
that.
cities, man. It just feels like they are all river kings and queens.
Mm-hmm. My number 5 is Des Moines Roosevelt Rail Spitters.
Shit.
I
I'm gonna
didn't look
swap
what the
mine. I've got one of my favorites too. I can't believe I missed that one. That's a great one.
that is a cool name. See, it's strange, but I'm not sure if I like them or not. But I think I like the Rail Spitters.
I love that. I think everybody should lean into. So I'll be honest, I'm cheating a little bit on one of mine because they've actually merged schools, but I think people should lean into what their town is known for.
Yep.
And rail splitting was, I mean, that's perfect. It's a great example of how to do that. I believe I don't have them on my list, but Des Moines Lincoln is also something railroad related, but might have to fact check that.
So I'm following this back with number 4,
Go ahead.
the Notre Dame Burlington Nikes.
Yep, deserved. Yeah, anybody after a Greek goddess deserved to be named twice. Eastern Alamaki Kiki Hawks makes my number 4, which is one of the wilder names I've ever heard.
Who say that again?
Eastern Alamaki Kiki Hawks.
Alamakey's a county, right? Or is that an
Yep,
actual town? Okay.
Alamaki County.
Okay. Yep. That's what we should. We should be ranking our top 7 counties one of these days, and we will.
That might be coming up. That'd be a good one.
So, Fitz, you're following us back for number 3 now.
All right, this is the semi-cheater one. Everly Cattle Feeders, and they are now Clay Central Community School District.
Okay. Are they still the cow feeders?
I don't think so, unfortunately. I
Why are
love that
people
name.
changing their names? Keep it.
Yeah, everyone's moving out of small towns, man. They're going to towns like Waukee, and we're losing the cattle feeder types. Sad to see.
My number 3 will be the Sheldon Orabs,
Okay. Yep.
the Great
Also
Sheldon High
deserved.
School. My number 2, I'm guessing we're probably gonna have the same number 1. My number 2 is the Scattergood Crew, Scattergood Friends. I
Huh?
saw it.
What?
So the school is Scattergood Crew, and their name. No. Okay, so their school is a Scattergood Friends, and their name is the Scattergood Crew.
Okay. How do you spell scattergood? I can't even begin to picture what that is.
SCATTERGOOD.
Okay.
So
I've
apparently
never even heard of them, dude.
apparently the school is in West Branch.
Okay.
But I didn't want to do too much research. I researched because I wanted the school to exist. I think the more research I would have done, I probably would
Yeah.
have found out this thing's not an actual school.
Dude,
But
I came across so many of those.
it was listed on the IHSAA, so it was credible enough for me.
It's got to be legit. I came across so many videos that were just made up names, and I was pretty nervous that a few of these were not going to be correct.
I might be getting some feedback on that one, but I'll screenshot from the
That's crazy. Yeah,
IHSA website.
I'm going
It's
to be
there.
diving into those guys because that's one of the most interesting names I've ever heard. I'm surprised that's not your number one.
I know, but yeah, I know we're gonna have the same number one, so I left it that way.
I don't. We might. So at number 2, I have the Audubon Wheelers, which you've already listed, and
Mighty Wheelers.
I like the Wheelers. I don't think we're gonna have the same number one. What's yours?
The Esville Lincoln Central Midgets.
I totally missed it. That's a worthy
The
number
midgets
one.
didn't make your number one, huh?
Nope.
How does that happen when you're pitting a school together? Like, dude, it's something scary, frightful, intimidating. Let's go with the midgets.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great for sports, but it's great for camaraderie, probably. I've got Center Point Urbana Storm and Pointers as number one, but I think it's like one of my might have won that one.
I think it's one of my favorite nicknames. The Urbana Storm Pointers.
Yeah, that's just a great name. It was kind of a tough list to either do. Sounds really cool, doesn't make sense, or just the wildest I've ever heard. I'm gonna have to fact check you after this episode and look into Scattergood because that's one of those things I've never heard of.
I'm gonna look it up right now just so we can get some confirmation.
Okay,
some
let's try it.
Scattergood Friends West Branch. Yeah, there it is in my recent searches.
Okay.
It's a school in Cedar County. The colors are white and blue, founded in 1890.
Good find, man. Yeah, Cedar County. Interesting.
They must be like, it's a boarding school, private school. So are they like Amish? They must be
This
Amish.
might be my new favorite school of all time. This is amazing. Looks like they have an ultimate Frisbee team, which is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, it is. Quaker school.
Okay.
Yep. If Google's not failing us here, looks like it's a religious school.
So
Good
West
find,
Branch,
man.
Iowa.
Great list.
Yeah, just outside of Iowa City.
All right, Scattergood. Bringing it home. Well, should have been number one, probably.
All right, anything else we're looking forward to the rest of this week, Bryce?
I got nothing. My Vikings look amazing. Sam Darnold might be the best quarterback in the league. So as far as sports goes, I'm pumped. I don't know. Looking forward to you and the boys coming to Des Moines here soon. We're moving next weekend, upgrading from the apartment to a townhome. Excited for more walkie action. But no, I just keep on keeping on. Fall weather and sports, baby.
It's that time of the year. It's supposed to be like 70 degrees every single day this week.
Yeah, it couldn't be better. This is the time of year. This is pretty much since I've been a kid. Love fall. Number one season.
The best. It's the best. So I'm
what about yourself? You got anything big coming up?
God, no, I'm just busy. We're all over. I'm all over the state. I got to go to Dubuque tomorrow. Then I got to go to Davenport. Then I got to go to Cedar Falls and Mason City. So
you've traveled a lot of this state, and it's going to bring a lot of good perspective to this pod.
That's why I feel comfortable about giving some of my answers. Unfortunately, I've never driven by the Scattergood. I'm going to be looking out for it when I drive through on I-80 tomorrow through West Branch. See if I may wander around the West Branch, see if I can't find where the Scattergood crew school is.
Love it. Keep me posted. I appreciate you putting up with me post golf tournament today. Anyone that's still listening, you're out of your mind, but thanks for hanging in there.
All right, let's have ourselves a week. People enjoy the weather. We're going to be back here real shortly. Looking forward to a good bye week from Iowa football, and we'll be keeping our eye on the Cyclones as they move into the Big 12 play.
Let's do it. Take care of yourself, my friend.
You too.